Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Amanda.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Chilly, but good.
I know we had that unexpected. I guess it was expected, but meteorologists I feel like they haven't have it easy.
They can't win.
Yeah. Well, essentially, they're like the only profession that I can think of off the top of my mind where they can get it wrong and still have a job.
That's so true. Yeah. It might rain, but it might not.
It might not. I know. You never know, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to dive right into, yeah, I am excited to learn so much about everything that you do.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're interested.
I know. So I did my research.
Okay.
And trainer, posing trainer,
Posing coach, yes.
coach.
Mm-hmm.
IFBB Pro.
Yes. Bikini. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just everyday powerhouse female.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It doesn't always feel like that, but yes, for the most part, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me all about this. So I understand more of the terminology of bodybuilding and physique and fitness and things like that. But what is this? What is this world?
It's a whole new world. So bodybuilding, I feel like, was an extension to my fitness journey.
Okay.
I got into fitness first and just wanting to be better, wanting to get healthy, look better. And then I discovered this whole new level and almost like extreme fitness at the beginning. You're like, wow, like these people looked ripped. These females, like, how do they look like that?
It's a little intimidating, but it's also admirable, right?
Yes. And that's how I felt about it. You know, I would see these males and female bodybuilders just looking so in shape. And I'm thinking like, wow, like I've been working out for 3 years. Like, why don't I look like that?
What am I doing wrong?
Yes. And I started watching and following certain bodybuilders, and I started seeing the worth ethic and the actual discipline and dedication it takes to get to that point from when you first start to the moment you step on stage. Mm-hmm. And so I just like with anything, I looked into it. I discovered like, wow, there might be a place for me to fit into this if I apply myself to bodybuilding. And that's when I discovered the bikini category.
Okay.
Which was totally out of my league because I felt like I was a tomboy and I didn't wear heels unless I was going out to the club with my girlfriends. And, you know, it was just a whole discovery of great discipline and great work that I wanted to give a try.
Yeah.
So I discovered it and did research. I found a trainer. That was the first step, was for me to find a trainer and really commit. That was the first step mentally, is to commit to a new system, just a new goal. Okay. There was really no end goal when I was just working out other than, hey, I'm supposed to consistently work out to look good, to lose weight.
Yeah, but that's what society wants me to do, be healthy.
Right, to be healthy, go to your fitness classes, go to cycling classes. I'm like, okay, I'm going through the motions. But I think something inside of me was like, okay, we need a goal. We need just not an end goal, but just, you know, a goal and a timeline. Timeline is what I needed at the time. So that's when I decided to get my coach. I committed. And I set a date, and that's when the journey just kind of started.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the timeline between making the mental commitment and then, I guess, competition date, so comp date?
So I started working with my trainer 2017, and so that was beginning. That's when I really committed to someone actually helping me. Like, okay, I've done everything I could by myself. Let me see what this trainer has to offer. Let's see if it's something I really want to do. So I committed. That was January. We had originally set a date to do a show in October of that year.
Is that realistic? Because this is a new experience for me too. So is that a realistic goal or is it ambitious?
So I think it was borderline ambitious.
Okay.
Because at the time I also was not super educated. Like Instagram was just coming out.
Okay.
YouTubers were not a huge thing. I barely had internet on my phone, I felt like.
Okay.
And so, we didn't have all this social media to guide us. They didn't have these workshops to tell us how to go through the journey. So I found the local, trainer, which he then later on hooked me up with my nutrition coach.
Okay.
So I feel like it wasn't as realistic, but for me, for where I was with my body physically. So we set a date for October. That was the same year that Ike happened. So, or no, not Ike, it was Harvey. It was Harvey.
The hurricane.
The hurricane, yes. And so that kind of put a little pause into things just with getting the right foods. And it threw me off track a little bit. So I thought, okay, that'll give me more time to prepare for this because I want to do well anyway. So then we moved it to December. And that's when I ended up stepping on stage for the first time was December 3rd of 2017. And I remember, it is, no way. It's funny.
Meant to be.
Yes. So that was, it took about a year for me to actually step on stage. And up until that point, I was still saying, I just want to try it and see what it actually feels like to compete on stage.
What part of that journey, that year-long journey, so you make the mental commitment to just get into the gym and get exposed to this environment and try something new. But when did you mentally become okay and commit to that we're going on stage? Because you could back out essentially, but like,
Correct.
Were you in and all in from the get-go, or were you kind of like, I'm going to dip my toe in the water?
I'll be honest, and I dipped my toes. I definitely dipped my toes a little bit because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And I was in for a shock.
Really?
Because, I quickly realized it was going to be more of a mental challenge for me than the actual physical part.
They say that about training, 80-20.
Yes. I mean, you know this. And I'm glad I learned it quickly because I already kind of had the physical. I was like, okay, I've been going to the gym. My stamina's good. I'm not like terribly out of shape.
You're disciplined.
I'm disciplined. I've already gotten that to a certain level of discipline.
Okay.
Because this also happened around the same time me and my husband met each other. And so you're in that honeymoon.
Bit of that distraction.
Yes, I had a little bit of a distraction in the beginning. So there were a few times where I wasn't 100% in, let's say, my diet.
Okay.
Like I still was mentally committed, like I'm going to do the show. And then you realize you can't really go halfway. Right. You have to do 100% of the working out and the nutrition part and saying no to, events and family members. So I did come to a point where I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see in my check-in photos or my progress. I kind of stopped seeing that. And I thought, okay, if I really want to be looking like those bodybuilders that I was seeing at the beginning and really get to that point, I'm going to have to go 100% and learn how to be even more disciplined and have more self-control. And I think that's where my mindset kind of changed. And I had to start taking it. I started taking it seriously, almost like a job. Like if I'm going to be putting in this, correct. It's a lifestyle change. Yeah. So that was where I said, okay, it's going to be a whole lifestyle change. It can't just be from here to October or December. I'm going to have to, I really just changed my mindset about food, about how I'm living my life. If I want to, at least do good in this first show. And so that's where I feel like my mindset kind of changed. I wanted to do well, and I came to the reality, like, I'm not really as disciplined as I thought I was.
Well, nothing like having that kind of put in front of you to really shift gears and get you on track.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a process.
Right.
So you meet your husband in the midst of comp training and prepping.
Yes, the first one.
Oh, man. And so how was that experience? Was he supportive if you're both going through that honeymoon phase? I mean, did you?
He surprisingly was very supportive, mainly because he was knows the sport. He knew the sport. He didn't love it then just because he had his experiences with it.
Right.
But he definitely was like, wow, that's awesome. I know some girls, I know people who've competed in it. So he didn't like even bash the sport, even though he didn't love it.
Right.
But
he didn't prefer it.
Right.
For you. From a protective standpoint?
No, not so much protective, but just the sport and having, like, knowing bad apples in the sport. Just his personal experience.
Sure.
So it just left a bad taste in his mouth.
Sure.
And it's understandable. Now it's like completely different. But back then he was, that's awesome. Good for you. He'd help me meal prep when I was tired, or if once we got over the honeymoon stage. And we're like, right. Okay. And I had that talk with him. I was like, hey, I really want to do well. So we need to stop these like midweek, dinners or, right. Little treats. So I did have to put an end to that. And we had just started dating, and he was like, I totally understand. Like, I want you to do well. So he was very supportive. And that was also a learning process for us too over the years, obviously.
I'm sure.
Just because, you learn to manage life with, prep and having to work around meals and work around workouts. So we definitely had to compromise and learn.
Yeah.
Not
a
only
little bit about each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
About yourself and each other.
Correct.
And then how it's going to work synergistically.
Yes. Yes.
In the home and outside the home.
Exactly. So it was a lot of trial and error there too. But I think now we're a great team, and he supports me, and I had to learn when to step away if I was hangry, or am I hangry, or am I just being rude, Right. So yeah, it was a learning experience, but it helped us on the long run, actually. So
absolutely. I think that it spills over into other aspects of your life too, because it
Correct.
teaches you to be mindful
mm-hmm.
and maintain composure, which is incredibly difficult, especially in society today. You're just thrown curveballs constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a wonderful gift that you have given each other.
Yeah. I appreciate his support, because I know it's not easy, especially with the sport like this, it is superficial at the end of the day. We're looking at our bodies, I'm surrounded by other bodybuilders and other trainers. So we had to have that strong foundation and trust with each other to make it work.
Yeah.
Because if we didn't have that, I don't think it would have worked.
You bring up an interesting topic, but I want to get back to that because I want to touch on that. But I do want to know, you step on stage for the first time. Give me that experience, all the feels.
Okay. I feel like I feel them now.
Oh, really? Do you still get the butterflies?
Oh, yes.
Even at this point in your career?
I do. Every time I still get that little, just the butterflies, yeah. And you feel like, oh my God, my palms get sweaty, and it still happens. And I don't know if it's like adrenaline rush or I don't know. But that first time, well, first of all, the first time I was backstage, I tripped.
Oh, no.
They were calling my number
on
the floor. Yes, this was backstage. Gosh. And I'm glad it happened backstage, not on stage.
Oh, wow.
But, new experience. I don't think my coach at the time was there. I'm figuring out. No, he was not there. No, not that time.
Oh, no.
He was a nurse, so he had a crazy schedule. But he was in communication with me all day. But I'm lining up, and they're calling my number. I can't even remember what my number was, but they're calling my number. And all I know is if you hear your number, you go to her. They're calling you. Yeah. So I'm running. And there's cords everywhere, and my heels nonetheless.
Those things they're stilettos.
Oh, yes. It's 5-inch heels, like I'm running in my tan, in my bikini. And I finally get there, and they're like, you need to be in line. And I'm like, oh, okay. So at this point, I have maybe a minute to like mentally calm down from running and panic to get on stage.
Oh, God.
So it's so crazy that I remember this so vividly. So I'm walking up, and so my heart's beating 100 beats per minute, faster probably.
Yeah, this is your cardio right now.
Yes, I'm like, I hope this tan is not like melting off because I feel like I'm sweating. And So I have seconds just to take a few deep breaths, and I remember my legs just shaking. Like
That's the worst.
So
well,
you cannot control it.
I know. You can't.
And my legs are just shaking, and I'm like, okay, you need to calm down because there's no way out of this. Like you have to go on there. Like, and I just started thinking of all the months and all of those workouts and all of the no's I had to say and all of the friends that left through the process that didn't understand. And like, you can't let this, you're going to have to go. So that I remember telling myself, like, just go. And they say, okay, go ahead. And there I go, shaky legs and all.
Oh, wow.
I walk out, I blacked out, and I don't even know what my routine looked like. And I remember waving, and then I walk right off. And the feeling you get right when you step off of stage, it's just like a deep, like just like a relief, but excitement at the same time.
Euphoric.
Yes, just euphoric, and you're just like, wow, like I just did that. And I remember before I even competed and considered competing, somebody said, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it when you get off stage. And I instantly knew, like, I love this. I was ready to walk around and come back on stage. And I had to anyway because I was going to go. So I was ready. I mean, after that, I did not want to stop getting on stage.
So when you go into your shows, are they shows or are they competitions? What do you call them?
Well, we call them both shows. I usually just say shows, but they're competitions. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into your show, how many times do you walk the stage that day?
So it's different, like going from the amateur level to the pro level. But that first, usually in the amateur level, you go at least 3 times.
Okay.
Depending on how many classes you register for. So if you're a first-time competitor, you can do a true novice and a novice class. And then you're able to do an open class, which is where everyone competes. That's the most competitive class.
Okay.
And then it goes on to masters, like 35 and over, 40 and over.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on how many times you choose to go, but at least 3.
And where was your entry point?
So I ended up placing 3rd on my first competition.
That's amazing.
Well, there was only 3. I like to start off with that. I got 3rd. But usually the classes are 5 people or more. Like they place 5 people. But for some reason that show was really small that year. And I did sign up for 3.
We don't have to dwell on that part. She got 3rd.
I got a trophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, they gave us trophies. So yes, I got 3rd. And then I went and did my second one the following year.
Okay. Mm. So a whole year between. So
no, not a whole year. It was from like 2017 to April of, or June of 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
So a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing I think is really interesting about a variety of modalities and different athletes is that athletes like yourself who are in the bodybuilding world, you go through, I don't want to say extreme, but you do go through a calorie deficit, and you definitely go through that cutting cycle leading up to comp prep and shows. And athletes on the functional realm go through, I don't want to say a bulking, but we definitely prefer to eat in maintenance at minimum, if not a little bit of a surplus, to perform. So it's kind of interesting dynamics on how all of this works from a nutritional standpoint.
Yes. And that's been a whole learning. I mean, I'm still learning a lot about that too. I mean, and I feel like it's changed over the years for myself because I'm getting older and my body's reacting differently.
Your needs are different.
Right. The needs are different. And it's interesting to see how the body changes in those stages, because we do go through a surplus at the beginning of, let's say, an off season.
Okay.
So we get into that surplus because we need that, like you said, the calories, the energy to perform.
Right.
To perform better, to be able to build that solid muscle tissue and really supplement correctly. Right. So that's our favorite season, by the way, the off season. Like we do experience that.
All the steak.
All the steak, all the carbs. Like
yes, all the carbs.
We need those. Yes. So it has been interesting to see how we can go from that bulking season, from that surplus to that deficit to where we get leaner and leaner. Now, like you said, we go through like an extreme deficit. That's where I feel like we get challenged the most mentally, is when we get closer and closer.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of growth happens mentally.
And personally. Intrinsically.
Correct. Because when we're in that surplus and we're feeling good, and, or even in the maintenance level, you feel good, you're energized, you're ready to push, you're ready to go. But then you get, they start taking food away, but the workload's the same.
It is.
So you're like, okay, yes. The intensity needs to stay at 100, 110, even though the calories are slowly dipping. So that's where we really have to turn on that discipline and put on those blinders and really remind ourselves why we're doing it. Because that's when it's easy to say, why am I doing this?
Right.
This is hard. I can't do it. Or hunger is powerful.
It is.
It's powerful.
Why do you do it?
I do it because I love it. But I think, and it's funny because I love a lot of parts about this sport. There's I wouldn't do it if I wasn't enjoying it. I wouldn't do it if it was, just hurting me especially like a health wise. I love it because it challenges me. And I have fallen in love with it because of the person it has helped me become. And the person that I feel like I'm becoming is someone that can help others who are wanting to take that same path, especially young women, like my younger clients. I think about where I was back then at that age, even though I was a little bit later in life when I started, and where I was mentally and how it affected my confidence and just, the way I carried myself. And I feel like I can share my journey so that they can have a little bit easier path, or just, or know what to expect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that one of the things that I felt really connected to you about was one of our first interactions. You were working with one of your clients, and you were posing with them and giving her some really good tips. And I think you made some comment about, you're in your own head. You don't need to be in your own head. And it just let it feel natural, let it flow. And I think I looked over and I said, I could really use some help from you to kind of feel a little more girly and confident. And you were like, girl, I still struggle with it too. How do you find the confidence to just get up on the stage? And essentially, I know that's a performance. I know you have to turn it on, and then you get off the stage and you kind of turn it off. But where does that confidence come from in you?
So that's a good question. I like that. The confidence, I feel like I have moments where I don't feel confident, for sure, where I don't want to practice. I don't want to put on the shoes. I think for me, and it kind of just goes back to who I am and how I want to inspire those who lack the confidence. So I tell myself, okay, how would you want someone that you care about to feel when they're not feeling confident? So I tried to think about that. Like, okay, I would tell her like, hey, you're beautiful. You look at all you've done. Look at these people that look up to you and, that you inspire. So I have to be able to, I guess, have a hold of it and be able to turn it on, So I think, I hope that makes sense. I dig deep to find the confidence is what I'm trying to say. And just reflecting on how far I've come and how many people I can inspire by just finding it within myself, to turn it on so that people can see like, okay, like I can do that, I can do that. If she can find the confidence in herself, why can't I? Yeah. So I really just want to lead by example.
Yeah.
I want to lead by example. Just because I know it's in every single one of us, not just girls, but men too. We all deserve to feel confident and happy. We just have to be able to love ourselves and find it within us.
Yeah, I think that you put that perfectly. You're right. You do have to dig deep down and find the love inside yourself so that you can share that with everyone around you. I think one thing that I know my husband will tell me that he reminds me often is you can't pour from an empty cup. So fill your cup so that you can share it with others.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing that.
Thank you. I hope so.
You are.
Thank you. Yes.
So in this journey, from when you made the decision to kind of enter into the IFBB world, what's the process look like for you to be able to get your pro card? Because you're saying there's these novice, and then I keep hearing the word pro card and this being a big thing. So tell me about that.
So yes, the pro cards, it's a big deal. And that became the goal as an amateur. First goal was to just step on stage. Yeah. To just get through this diet. Yeah. Yes. Don't fall. And I was close to not even hitting that one. So you go and do your amateur regional show.
Okay.
Back then it was placing, you had to place top 5. So 3rd place. And you had to place top 5 to qualify for a national show. There's national shows in Pittsburgh, New Jersey, and one other state. And so after you qualify for a national show, you go and compete against the best of the best. So everyone who qualified for nationals. And then there you can earn your IFBB Pro card by either winning your class first place or getting 2nd place.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
and so
impressive.
yes. So you have to go against the top of the top and then win your class.
Amazing.
1st or 2nd. Yes. So for me, I did my first show. Went and did my 2nd show. I got 5th which was better because there was more girls in my class. I think I got 5th out of like 13 or 14 girls.
Impressive.
And then after that, I went and did my 3rd show where I won the overall show. I got 1st place out of everyone. I beat all the class winners. And then after that, 2020 happened. Yes. So and the goal was to get that pro card. I knew I was going to get the pro card. I already set my mind like I'm going to go to nationals and I'm going to get that pro card. That was the goal. And I knew I had what it took to get the pro card. So we planned for a show. Things got pushed back. Everything postponed. We can't fly. We can't go to the gym.
The world shuts down.
Yes. Everything's shut down. It's over. And I was not giving up. I stayed on my diet. I was doing workouts in the garage.
I was going to say, so.
Oh yeah. Nothing stopped. I was meal prepping. And a lot of people dropped out that year because, understandably. And so I kept going. Finally, they put a date on a show. Okay. August. I was supposed to compete in May.
I know.
Okay, we're going to do August. We did August. I did win my class. I got 1st place, Class B. But in that particular show, you have to win. You have to get 1st out of all the 1st place. So kind of like the overall.
Wow. So you clean house.
So not at that one. So I did get 1st place in my class, but I did not beat all the other class winners. So just in that particular show. Now I went and did another national show in November, and that's where I got 1st place again. And they give every 1st place winner there instead of going against each other.
Okay.
And so that's where I got my pro card in 2020.
And what's that feeling like? So is it an announcement? Are you just standing there on stage kind of waiting to hear the anticipation is building?
So you go through a comparison round. They call it a comparison round. And
that's a horrible name for it.
I know. I know. Compare me. Yeah. I know. It sounds awful. But so the first goal is like, okay, we got to hit first call outs because that's where they place 1st through 5th. If they call you in that first group of girls, you either got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, 5th. So I'm like, okay.
You make it.
I make it. I'm like, okay. And so that's when they start comparing you with the other girls.
At this point, do you have some high suspicion that you've already done really well?
Yes.
Okay. So you're kind of anticipating like, I knew I was going to make it to this point.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, first check, first call outs. Okay, we're doing well. You want to get first call outs. And so they have you work. They have you pose your mandatory poses, and that's when they start moving you towards the center if you're doing better. If they like your look, they're going to move you to the center of all the girls. So they started moving me towards the center. And so I'm like freaking out in my head, of course, smiling, like cheeks are shaking and hurting. And they start putting me in the middle next to another girl. So they're comparing me and the other girl. So you don't know if you got first or second until you come back for the night show. So I have to wait.
Oh, there's a big gap between
Oh, yes. So you have a morning show and then you have a gap.
You don't get to eat.
We do get to eat, yes. A lot of people think that, oh my gosh, I don't get to eat that day. But no, we are eating throughout the whole day.
Okay.
Yes, which I think this particular show, I got a free meal in between. So
okay,
I'm just nervous. And I'm like, I just want to know, like, did I get first or second? Either way, I would have gotten my pro card. And then you come back for the night show, and that's when you start finding out. They start calling out first or fifth, fourth. And then when they got to the third place, I'm like, okay, it's either second or first.
Yeah.
I'm standing there, and then they call the other girl.
What'd
the
you
second
do?
place. So they
First
call
reaction.
First reaction, I remember like this just like pit and my heart just like drops, but in a good way. And my lips started shaking, my eyes were watering, and I can hear my trainer and my husband just yelling. This was during 2020, so they didn't let a lot of people. Yeah. And I was over the moon. And then I remember they give you a trophy, and I was coming downstairs, and I actually have a video of it, and I'm glad somebody caught a video of it, of me just like shaking that trophy, and my husband's there waiting, like bawling his eyes out. Oh. And he's just like crying in my arms, and I just remember him saying all that hard work was worth it, and we're just like crying. Probably one of the best moments in my life with him. Mm-hmm.
You have it on film.
I do. Yes. I have to find it, but it's in there somewhere.
And it's stored away.
Yes. Yes. Definitely a memorable moment for a lot of us.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Tell me something that everybody would be surprised to know about you.
That's a good one, because I'm open, but yet not. But here's a good one. I don't like working out arms. Like I just don't love it. And people used to call me Bicep Brenda because
because you have amazing arms.
Thank you. And it's funny because that's one of the first things I ever like learned how to work out, like way back then. And I was like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
And maybe I just wore myself out, because now every time it's like arm day, I'm like, yay.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. So when you talk about like going through prepping, and you said that you have seasonal friends, they come and go. What has that process been like to experience that in this journey? Because it's painful. It's never easy.
Right.
But everything happens for a reason. So how's that been for you?
So I don't feel like I lose that many friends now, because I have a pretty good set of solid friends now. But in the beginning, and I do see it happening with other people, they don't understand the sport, or I guess the lifestyle that comes with it. And like I mentioned, I had to say no to a lot of things, a lot of events, or a lot of just parties in the beginning, or get-togethers, or even dinners where either I'd bring my own container, or just say no because I'm so tired, or, hey, I have an early workout tomorrow. I can't, I'd rather stay in and let's do something. And it is hard to watch those friends kind of fade, and, the invites slow down, and then they just stop coming. And then I've had friends who don't really look at my goal, or I guess they don't look at it or take it seriously, or maybe they didn't think I was taking it as serious. And so
looking at it as a phase.
Right. Like, oh, she's, you're taking this way too seriously.
The workout thing that
you
do.
It's like, why can't a little bite won't hurt? Like, you don't want to go out with us. You don't want to hang out with us anymore. And in reality, it's not that. It's just, I have a goal in mind. So I am going to have to sacrifice a few things, a few outings. And people start taking that personally, and they don't have the best support for me. And so they just, like you said, fade.
Yes.
They fade. So it is hard, but I don't linger on it and I don't cling on to it.
Yeah.
And,
water under the bridge.
Right. And my true friends, they're supportive. They'll go to my competition if they can, or they're even checking on me throughout prep. Even though they've never been through prep or they know a little bit about it. Now they know a lot about it.
If you're going through prep, if Brenda's in prep, we're all in prep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I have those friends like, hey, I'm going to have cucumbers and water if you want to come.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that type of support system.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
That makes the journey a lot smoother and joyful, really, if you have that solid group of friends and family that support you. They don't have to understand it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like too is seemingly just minuscule is something like that gesture may be. It's the thoughtfulness behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where you find that close knit of inner circle and
right.
You cling tight to them, right?
Yes. Like I said, I have that small group of solid friends and they understand, even though some of them have never competed. They're like, oh, well, Brenda's on prep, but so let's do this. And they accommodate, they understand, they support. And then throughout, my journey, you start making new friends who are in the sport.
You do.
And you start building those relationships. And, if you're having a bad day, you can reach out to them because they know exactly how you're feeling. They can relate.
Yes, absolutely.
So friends, like you said, they come and go and the good ones stay.
And so when you're working with your clients, because you've experienced and collected these experiences in your journey, is that something that you integrate into training with them? Like you coach them through being confident and being able to stand up confidently in their bikini. And in integrating the mindset training, is that something that you coach them through too?
Yes. I try to try not to overstep my boundary where I don't need to, but I try to share my experiences with them so that maybe if they hear something like, oh, she struggled with confidence, even now, even in this last show. So it's okay if I'm feeling a little self-conscious. So I do try to coach, especially the younger girls.
Yes.
Who don't have that guidance, who lack a lot of confidence or more confidence. I try to just, send them a little guidance or a little encouragement and tell them to be kind to themselves too, because we can be, especially in the sport, I mean, in general, we're our hardest critics, but I think in this sport, we are so hard on ourselves sometimes that you don't realize you're bringing yourself down. You're not critiquing anymore. You're kind of bringing yourself down. And I see it even throughout a session. Sometimes I see a girl going from she walks in very confident and maybe she'll mess up her routine a couple times and I see it fading. And that's when, because I've been through that, I take a step back, like, hey, let's relax. Let's take a deep breath, or I'll have them just talk a little bit to me, express how they're feeling. Maybe there's something else in the back of their head that's causing that confidence to fade faster. So I try to connect and just reel them back. Like, hey, remember, we're here. There's no judges here. It's just you and I. This is where we can make mistakes.
Yes.
And learn from them and apply it when it's show day.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. You're inspiring me right now.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think I could walk around in 5-inch heels, but
well, you haven't been to my class.
Well, but fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so I mean, has there been a moment where you have had to overcome a true struggle, and how did you get through that? It just sounds like you've gone through so many different experiences, and you encounter so many situations, and you're helping other people. You're a mentor. You're mentoring these women to gaining their confidence on stage. But I mean, for your own self, when have you had that true personal struggle that you've had to overcome?
Well, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of struggles, and they're different. So I'll try to narrow it down to just a few.
You said, where do I begin?
I know. How much time do we have? I think the main one was the mental discipline battle. I think that was my first struggle, and the perseverance, because growing up, I don't think my parents, they weren't pushy at all. I gave up easily as a kid. I gave up easily. I tried one thing and tried maybe 1-2 times, and I didn't like it, or it was too hard, and then I was done.
Was it a perfectionism?
No, I think it was a lack of effort.
Okay.
In my part. If I'm being truly honest, I think it was a lack of effort and being told like, well, it's okay. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, no pressure.
Right. Which, is okay with certain things. And so I would give up and I'd be like, okay, let's find something else to do. And so I think for me, one of the first biggest lessons was like, okay, you can't give up. Like you want to do well, you're going to have to do it with effort. Perseverance. My dad used to always tell me con ganas, with effort. And that really stuck to me. And I think that's what helped me just take it one step further, is to really be honest with myself and be like, hey, are you really giving it 100%? Because those 2 cookies you just ate doesn't say that you're giving it 100%.
Right.
So I really had to do a lot of self-reflection. And just be honest with myself. Like, if you want to get to this next level, you're going to have to set aside some of your personal wants and needs and just go off based off on your discipline and not give up and go through with it.
Right. I think that having the ability to display mental toughness and mental fortitude when you're on, in the arena that you're in this industry where you are critiqued and compared and questioned, I guess, especially from a confidence and everything intrinsically and internally, it's difficult. And have you had a moment in a show or leading up to a show where you said, I have to stop and reset, maybe refocus and reset?
There has been shows where I felt like, why am I doing this? And this was more towards like in my pro career, where I didn't get the result I want, or I just my body didn't react the way it should have, and I didn't look the best. I thought maybe I looked better 2 shows ago. And so that really starts to eat at you, so that you don't get the results. And there's been a couple shows where I start to wonder, like, do I have what it takes to win that pro show? Like, can I really get to the top?
Doubt is a nasty beast.
Doubt. Yes. And it's so sneaky, because on stage I'm feeling great. I'm feeling confident. And then you get the results and you're like, wow, okay, maybe I shouldn't have felt that confident, or what could I have done differently? You start questioning. So there's definitely doubt that creeps in. And that's another lesson that I had to really learn, is to not let those negative thoughts take over.
Because don't dwell on them.
Don't dwell on them, and be able to pick myself back up. And like, if it's something I really love to do, I'm going to have to be okay with hearing no's and not placing well, not getting first place every show. So I really had to learn how to bounce back and let go of the losses.
Would you say, are you competitive?
So it's funny. It's
so
like,
let's talk about that.
Yes. I told you I'm a Gemini, so I'm like, I can go either way. I am competitive, but I don't act competitive, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not backstage like, like, wow, I'm going to trip her, I'm not like a bad sports, woman.
Well, I'm glad to hear.
Yes. I'm competitive really with myself.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I am I'm a one-man team here.
Yeah,
like, the results are up to me. Like,
this is true.
My coach isn't going to magically, make my abs show more or my glutes grow. Like, I have to put in the work. I have to make the choices every day to get me to the best look on stage. So I would say with myself, I'm competitive with myself.
That's fair enough.
Yes.
I'm pretty competitive with myself too.
Really? Yeah.
You hold yourself to a high standard.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like at times your standard that you impose, it's self-imposed standard, do you feel like it's unrealistic where you have to reassess and kind of bring yourself back down to something more attainable?
I'm going to say no because, and my husband would probably be like, he's the competitive, he's competitive enough for both of us.
Oh, okay. So
like,
it's in the family.
It's in the family, yes. Like he's competitive for both. That's all I'm going to say.
That's okay.
And he'll tell me like, no, you have what it takes. Like you don't hold yourself higher than you should. Like he thinks that you have what it takes. You need to believe it. And I guess maybe there's no doubting me, but I'm not like putting myself on a pedestal, like I have what it takes, like.
Well, right. But you know what you're capable of.
Yes. Yes.
And you won't let yourself take second for what you know that you can accomplish.
Correct. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. So we're a good balance, I guess.
Yes, that's good. Now, correct me, is your husband also your coach?
No. So he doesn't actually coach me. He does train me.
Okay.
He actually just started training me weekly this past year. Wow. Which is kind of cool.
I bet.
A lot of people are like, oh, are you sure?
I know. I'm very interested to hear a little bit about this. I mean, how does that dynamic play in from professional to personal life?
It's interesting. And I had to mentally prepare myself for that one too, because back in the day, like when we first started dating, we were working out together.
Okay.
But he wasn't training me.
Yeah. You're not taking direction from him. It's more enjoyable.
Right. Just working out. But even then it would get like, okay. You know what I'm saying. And
are you going to keep breathing right there next to me?
Yeah. Can you not breathe that loud? But once I put myself in that, I guess, professional manner, I'm like, okay, he's my husband right now, but he's here to help me. And if I want, I know he's got the skill to help me grow, to help me push myself to the next level. So I have to put myself in a coachable, place and try to put myself in like a student position rather than his wife. And, why are you yelling at me? 5 more reps,
Very compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And do you both do that well? Do you compartmentalize everything well, or there's not that carryover into your home life so that you can have your, marriage and your unison outside of the gym?
Yes. And that's something we've talked about. I don't want to bring those two worlds completely together.
Right.
Like when you're my trainer, you're my trainer. When we're talking business and, competing, we'll talk about competing. When it's about us, we shut our phones off. We put it on silent. Like we're not going to talk about clients. We're just going to keep a sacred space for our marriage and our relationship.
I love that.
Yes, because I think it's a big deal to keep those things separated.
It is.
And we have a lot of respect for each other in the sport. And I think it's really built that trust bond stronger too, because not only because he's a coach, he has his clients, female clients, so we have to have that strong foundation.
Yeah,
he's working with females. I work with a male trainer or male coach, and so we have to have that strong foundation. And I don't want to leak the bad juju energy into our marriage relationship.
Right.
So business is business, relationship.
There it is. Business is business.
Yes.
And what kinds of things, so prepping in general looks different for everybody. So your prep season is going to look different from my prep season, from the next athlete to the next, and even athletes in the same modality. So all bodybuilders have their own prep regimen that they go into. What does yours look like?
Well, which one?
Where do you want to start?
Yes. Well, it is. And it's crazy because it's different every year too.
Right.
So like my prep this year will not be the same as it was last year.
Okay.
So it does change with you. It changes with you. And that's where your coach comes in. And that's why I want to have a coach too, because not because I don't trust my judgment or my husband's judgment. It's because it's different every year, and we want to take a different approach maybe every year. If I'm not winning first place, then that means there's room for change. There's room for improvement. We can approach things differently, or maybe we need to grow a little bit more. So the prep changes every year.
Okay.
Almost every month, I feel.
Yeah, really?
And it really just depends on the foundation that you start off with. So if I have a fantastic off season, I've kept that lean muscle, didn't really gain a whole lot of body fat, then we have a great start. Now, if I throw away my off season and, was vacationing the whole time, didn't really work out, was eating whatever, then okay, we're going to have a longer prep and maybe, yes, there's going to be more damage control. Yeah. So really it's up to me how we're going to approach the prep and how we're going to go about it.
What's your favorite part of the process?
Favorite part?
Aside from bulking.
Okay. Damn, I already said bulking.
Yeah, I mean, carbs are friends.
I know. Show day. I mean, obviously show day. Just show weekend in general. Like once you get to that week, right before the show, you're like, okay, you can feel that finish line. And I might have another show lined up. Usually I have a couple lined up. But just to get to that first finish line, it almost like pumps you up more. And you don't even think about hunger. You don't think about what's hurting, what's not hurting. It's fun to bring it all together. We have the suit. Honestly, I love packing for shows just because I get to lay everything out. I have my suit, my jewelry, my shoes. If I'm traveling out of state, I bring all my cooking stuff.
Right.
So there's a lot of favorite parts.
Yeah. I can relate to that because I have traveled with my crock pot.
Yes.
So that's a thing that it's a thing.
It really is.
My food scale, my crock pot, and my shaker bottles. Yes.
Yep. Exactly. I carry a hot plate now.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, I have one of those too.
Yes. I'll take a hot plate and my little frying pan and I just cook at the hotel.
The things we do, right?
I know.
It's very normal.
Right. I've showed up with my air fryer once when we.
Oh, wow.
And it was those first generation air fryers.
Yeah, the little.
Yes, the pull out. It was one of my, I think, a couple first shows. I was like, I'm bringing the air fryer. It's in Austin. We can take it.
Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah.
Make it work.
See, there's ways.
So you bring up about the suits, and I found a picture that you posted on this layout. It had this gorgeous like bangles, like bracelets, and this just sequins to the nines, amazing bikini. Tell me all about how that process is. Like, do you go in and pick it? Is there like an Edna of the IFBB world who just does all of these? How does this work?
So the process, it's really easy. So first you have to pick the color. I think that's the hardest part.
Really?
Is to pick what colors you want to go for this year.
What do you typically gravitate towards?
So red has been my color a lot lately. The last couple years, everyone used to know me for the purple. And then one day I was like, all right, it's time to break out.
Yeah.
And I got the red and I did the best. I don't know if it's because of I just looked better, but I'm saying like the red is my color. So you go and you pick your color, and then you do get the opportunity to choose like literally every little rhinestone that you want on there.
Oh,
so you go on the website. I go through Angel competitions, and you can pick your color fabric, and then you can pick whatever rhinestones you want to put on there. You can go all out or very subtle.
This is going to be one of the most fun parts of the process.
Oh, yeah. It's fun, but at the same time, you want all of them. So
yeah, I'm sure.
So that's the hard part, like picking the color, which one do I want? How much do I want to shine?
The $1 million suit.
Yes. And then when you get it in the mail, it's just like magical. It's all sparkly. They pack it all beautiful for you.
Oh, I'm sure this is like a Louis Vuitton opening.
Oh, for sure. Yes. Okay. You have to set up the camera and the lighting. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And then you try it on for the first time.
Yes, which, it's funny. It doesn't fit how it's going to when you're going to compete, because we usually get the suit a few months prior to the competition.
Oh, okay. So you're still in the process.
Yes.
But you're fitted between?
Yes. So it's crazy how they do it. And these suit companies I guess they're just that experienced now too, where you send them your measurements and you kind of give them a prediction. Usually want to do it like 6 months out, maybe, or no more than 6 weeks. I'm sorry. Or no less than 6 weeks. To your show to order the suit. So you give them a prediction of how much weight you might lose.
Okay.
And they usually do great at just giving you the right sizing. When you first get it, it is a little snug. and you go, and I always tell my girls, like, look, it's not going to fit like perfect right now. Just try it on. And you remember how much time you have left.
Just remember.
Focus on how pretty it is. Yes. And then that you just see that suit fit better and better as you get closer and you start practicing in it. And really, that's when the confidence really fires up, is when you get that suit and you're like, wow, this is going to happen. This is real.
Yeah, there's no turning back.
There's no turning back.
Okay.
Yes. So that part is fun.
So how long have you been coaching athletes through this process?
So we're going on our 3rd year.
On 3rd year?
Yes.
What's been the most exciting portion of that?
I think just meeting all the females and their stories, hearing their stories, because there's a lot of people who have some real, just like deep, just things happen to them and they choose to do this for themselves. And this is the only thing they've ever chosen to do for themselves. Or maybe they've lost, more than 100 pounds, or they're just gone through a breakup or a divorce, or, their kids are out of the house and they want to find something to do. They used to be marathon runners and now they want to find a new sport. So I just love hearing the stories, and really traveling to and meeting, other competitors as well.
Across the country.
Yes. And I've had the pleasure of meeting other females that I can coach, like posing via Skype. So even that is
awesome.
Really cool. Like I have a girl in Hawaii, and so it's really cool just to meet other girls from everywhere.
Do you get to does the sport that for you for coaching and then IFBB and working in the pro world, do you get to go international?
I get that choice. Okay. I haven't gone international just yet.
What's holding you back from that?
So not only the fact that I'm actually just changing my immigration status at the moment. Okay. So traveling is very limited for me.
Sure.
But that's going to be finalized this year. So I'm excited. We were actually talking about that the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe we can do the Mexican Pro. So there's a Grand Prix. Yes. So I'm like, maybe this year will be the year that I can go international, because that would be awesome.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
And so did they put the shows up like where you can watch it? Is it broadcasted?
Yes. Most of them are. Mm-hmm, yes.
Right.
Most of the pro shows are broadcasted.
So you were on the big screen and all.
I mean, yeah,
it's out there.
Depending on how big your screen is. But yeah, they broadcast it on YouTube, or they'll get like, they have their own broadcasting companies and stuff. But yeah, it's been a fun journey for sure.
What's been the most valuable life lesson that you've had through this journey?
Most valuable lesson, probably one of the biggest one is to not give up and stay consistent.
Yeah.
I think even when you don't feel like it. And I think that's obviously discipline. There's a lot of days where we don't feel like even, turning our phone on or off, whatever. But I had to come to reality, like, you can't go through life like that. Like, we might not feel like doing this or that, but who else is going to do it for you? Right. Like, nobody else is going to do it for you. So you got to get up and do something. Like, nobody's going to bring you your dreams. You have to work for it.
Yeah.
And then you can reap the benefits.
Have you had somebody mentor you, or somebody that you've looked up to as a mentor, maybe not even just through this process, but through your entire fitness journey?
I have a few.
Okay.
I have a few, but I do, my posing coach, actually. I met her probably my second year. She wasn't my first posing coach. It might show in my first posing routine, but she has really, and she's a great friend now. I can really call her a friend now. And she's mentored me not only with posing, but just with the mental battles. And we also share our religion, and we share a lot of things together like that. Like we go to concerts and we share scripture and just really push each other when we're having hard times. But she's probably a huge part. But also really my husband.
I'm sure.
He's the rock. I mean, he has taken the attitude that
Never.
I mean, I don't know
We would
what
never admit that.
attitude to his standard. But he's seen me at my worst, but he's also, he knows how to pick me up. And because he knows a lot about the sport now too, and he's learned a lot too, he's able to guide me through those tough days. Like I have somebody there. Like I already, even though he's not my coach, he has that coaching ability and he knows the sport. So he's able to kind of bring me back down to reality.
He's probably the most valuable coach that you would have because he knows the inner workings of you. He sees the highs, he sees the lows. He is there to support you and through everything. So
yes, absolutely. Yes. And I'm sure I'm hoping it helps him with his female competitors. And we help each other too in that aspect. I think when his clients are having a hard time, and I'll reach out and, we help each other in that way too.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you help guide him through some of that so that there's that empathetic approach to when he's working with his female clients?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I have to remind him, and he's gone so much better. And he's great at it. And just like, hey, babe, we're females. We're a little bit softer. Yeah. We're a little bit more gentle, like a flower.
Yes.
You can't just say, suck it up, buttercup, I mean, there's times where you can, but I think it has helped him communicate with his clients better, and him watching my journey and using me as an example to his clients has helped not only him, but his clients as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he has 7 years of watching, so.
Yeah, for sure, right? At this point, you better have picked up something.
Right. Right.
Is he still very protective of you in that world? Just from, you speak on his prior experience in the world, and I'm sure that for him, and valuing you and respecting you, not only as his spouse, but also as a female athlete. I think that my perception and an experience has been that there's an admiration from a sexualizing standpoint, which is unfortunate, but there's also the admiration through accomplishments. And that often, in my experience, has been perceived from male to female. And so does he protect you in that sense? And does he allow you to kind of find your own way and navigate your own path? Or does he still step in quite a bit for that?
I think in the beginning he was very protective because of his past experiences. I think now, because his mindset has shifted with the sport, and we've gotten to know each other and our relationship has grown. I think now he knows, like, okay, I can step back, and he knows that I can handle myself at the same time. Right. I can hold my own. And he knows that I would not do anything to jeopardize not only my career, our business, but I mean, we have full trust of each other. Now, granted, he's still a man and he knows when he needs to step in. But most of the time, I think that he, takes a step back. I'm like, okay, there's really nothing I need to worry about. Like, I view this sport as my business. It's my career. So I take it seriously like that. So I think he knows that I know where to set my boundaries with other males. He knows how to set his boundaries with other females. And I know he knows how to set those boundaries because a lot of that falls, I'm not going to put him in a situation where he feels uncomfortable either.
Right.
So that kind of falls on me too. And I don't want to put myself in that situation at all.
Right.
So it's been a learning experience, but I think it's solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And that's something that I share in my personal life as well. There's those conversations where we do our mental check-ins and we make sure that if there's ever a situation where, and I'll tell my spouse, if there's ever a situation where you feel uncomfortable, then that is going to come to a complete stop halt because there shouldn't be anything that's happening that's making you feel that way. And it's not my job to allow that to flourish or to allow any kind of inclination of thought to even flourish in that realm. You are my primary, and everything else outside of this relationship is secondary to that. So
correct. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's, we did have to go through some trial and errors with that, hard times.
You have to be very open to having the difficult, hard discussions that are not comfortable. No, they're not. There's lots of tears and lots of harsh words, I think, defensively.
Right. Because we're only protecting ourselves. And
then you realize you're a team. It's a team effort.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was a big step for us too, is like we realized, okay, we're a team. We have to work together. We're not working against each other here. So we can't have all these voices, all these things constantly coming in. Like this is our circle, our square. We keep everything here. We're open. Keep everything out in the air.
I like to call it noise. Everything else is noise.
Everything else is noise.
Yeah.
And I don't like noise.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can be disciplined with everything else, you can certainly bring that into personal aspects and different sides of your life.
And I'm glad you say that because it's crazy. There's a lot of things in the bodybuilding or even in the fitness industry that just work well with your everyday life. It just sets you up for, I think it's not a smooth life, but just a manageable, structured.
Right. Would you consider yourself rigid? Are you a rigid person just because you have to be disciplined, or are you relatively flexible?
I feel like I'm flexible.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe I'm just good at like switching it on and off too.
Yeah, maybe.
Like if I have to be rigid, then I will. But if I need to be flexible, like I like having a good time, like
I can admit I'm learning to be flexible.
Yeah.
I'm rigid by nature.
Oh.
Just because it feels comfortable.
Yes.
So I'm learning to be flexible. It is difficult.
Yes.
It's a daily chore for me, but we're getting there.
Yeah. And, like maybe I'm saying I'm flexible now, but if you were to ask me if I'm like 2-3 months into prep and I'm already on autopilot and then it's like, I'm not that flexible right now.
I respect
that. Because I do like the structure. I like,
the predictability, right? Yeah, that's me too. I think it's the predictability. I don't really care for the curveballs, but I take them in stride.
Right.
Just not preferably.
Yes. At least, as long as you don't let that curveball knock you out, you're good.
Oh, I've had a few.
Yeah.
What's on the table? So what's next? What's the big goal for 2025?
So, I feel like the goal is still to get to the Olympia. In my bodybuilding world or goals, that's the goal, is to, in the competitive world, I want to get to the Olympia qualify. So that means winning a pro show.
Okay.
And in our career, my coaching, I just want to keep expanding it. I have a couple workshops that I have coming up where we take, the MPC has a few workshops for first-time competitors or veteran competitors, and I go and help with the posing part of it. But basically, they take you through each division and what they expect from it and kind of how the shows run. So it's very informative for first-time competitors.
Amazing. You were invited in.
Yes. And I've been doing those for a couple years now. Okay. The MPC usually reaches out, and I go and attend and help with the bikini posing.
And when's the next one?
So the next one is going to be March 15th.
Okay.
Yes. This one will be in Austin.
Okay.
There is one in Houston. I'm not sure what date yet, but there is going to be one here in the Houston area soon. So,
do you know if that's going to be like summertime or?
No, it'll be before. It'll probably, I want to say it's April 19th. April 19th, yes. And it's in Humble. It's coming back. It's in Humble.
There you go.
Yes.
Really close.
Yeah, so that's coming up. And I think the first show is late April of the MPC. So the season's going to kick off here in Texas pretty soon. So
yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Well, for me, I'm sorry. And for me, it won't really kick off just yet. I'm going to wait a little bit longer to start my prep.
Okay. When does prep start for you?
End of March, maybe. So I guess it's still,
you got about
it's right
a month
there. Yeah. I got a month to bulk.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then hopefully we'll see competing in August, September.
All right. And how do you feel going into this season?
I'm excited. I'm excited for two reasons. I'm excited because I'm coming in with a new coach this year.
Okay.
And I have learned so much from him already. And I feel like my foundation is probably the best it's been going into a prep. And I feel really strong and healthy this year. So I'm really happy, excited.
How do you vet your coaches? How do you pick your coach?
Well, this one, I've only had two other coaches besides this one. I had my first one and then Komodo, which I had for 4 years. I had them both for 4 years.
Okay.
So I'm loyal. I'm loyal for 4 years.
I'm a dedicated athlete.
Yes. But this new coach, Ash, I've known him and his fiance for a couple years now. I've competed with her and I followed him for a while since I've met him. And I really love his way of teaching and his way of explaining things and his methods. Very similar to my husband, Evans. They're hand in hand, very honest and very caring for his clients. He has a passion for the sport and very attentive. And so after following him for 2-3 years, I was already kind of on the fence about switching coaches, and he just so happened to pop up on my Instagram one day where I was having those thoughts. And then I was at a competition actually where I was like, oh, I think I'm done with this other coach. Not for anything negative, but I just felt it was time for me to shift gears.
No, I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. I don't feel like anybody needs to be stuck into having one coach for a long period of time because then that generates complacency.
Yes. And so when I reached out, let me just have this conversation and see how I feel. And after having that conversation with Ash, it was almost like, okay, this feels right. This feels right. He believes in me. He has no doubt that I can get to the Olympia. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what do you think this process is going to look like to get to Olympia? Is that going to be something that's like in the next 2-3 years?
Well,
this year?
We're hoping this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's been the goal. Like once you become pro, that is the goal.
Okay.
To get to the Olympia. But that's the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, is to qualify for the Olympia.
Okay.
Now to win the Olympia, let's get there first.
You got the ring.
Yes, that's right. So that's been the goal. That's been the goal. Last year was the first time that I placed the highest in my pro career.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're climbing the ranks once you get your pro card.
Yeah.
You start climbing the ranks, and right after I got my pro card, they changed the system. It used to be a point system to where you can accumulate a certain amount of points to where you can qualify for the Olympia.
Okay.
And they changed that. So now you have to win a pro show. So you have to win first place in your class.
Oh,
so they made it a little harder. Yes, they made it a little harder. But at the same time, I'm like, great. Like, that means not everyone gets to go. Only the best get to go.
Well, it makes it more valuable too.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the goal. And I think it's going to be more relaxed, honestly, going into this prep.
Okay.
I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be smooth sailing, knock on wood, but I feel really comfortable and confident. And I almost don't want to say it out loud, but I kind of feel like that same feeling I got that year that I knew I was going to get my pro card.
You're dialed in.
It's like I'm dialed in, and there's no other choice. Like I want to win. I'm going to win.
I think that's half the battle.
Yes.
Is really putting your mind to it. And if you're going into this already feeling prepared and you know you're dialed in, your body is essentially at that point a tool.
Yes.
So you've gotten it forged. Now you're just sharpening the edges.
Yes. Yeah. Love that. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where you're at.
Well, let's see where it ends me up.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
It's going to be an exciting moment for you.
Yes. And you'll get to see now that you're at Northside, just the process.
Yeah.
You'll see things changing, and the season is kicking off. So all these competitors are going to come around, and
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the beginning phases of it right now, and this is very interesting for me.
Everyone's gonna start to get shredded.
There's definitely that's happening. I'm seeing a little bit of some hangriness coming out. And do we call it that? Is it
the hangriness? Yeah, the hangriness. I got the hungries. Yeah.
Yes, everybody's got the hungries. So it does happen, but it's all worth it because at the end of the day, there's a goal and there's a purpose to it.
Correct. And you forget about the hangriness once you even get on stage. Like, you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You might forget about it an hour later. But
so post show, what's the first thing you're doing?
Well, I already have reservations.
So really? Yes. All right.
She said
we're not playing around.
Oh, yeah. If you talk to any competitor, they'll say they made 2 or 3 different reservations at 3 different places so that they can go post-show.
Okay. Tell me all about it.
So,
spill the tea.
I mean, if we're doing a show out of state, we're definitely researching all restaurants within the area.
There we go.
But usually my go-to, I would say, it's either a burger. It's been a burger lately. So I'm going to find the best burger around with fries.
Okay.
Or sushi. I love
sushi.
Sushi. I can have that every day.
Are you a sashimi kind of girl or more of the like crunchy roll?
No, I don't like the crunchy. I would, if I had to choose between those two, I would choose the sashimi.
Yeah.
They push me away from fried food and bodybuilding. The tempura.
I know, right?
Yes. But I love sushi. I can eat. You
can throw down on some sushi?
Oh, I can throw down on any food, honestly.
Right. Post-show, it's a date,
Except
girl.
for pasta, though. I can't throw down with pasta.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay, good.
No, not me either.
I'm finding the burger or sushi.
There you go.
Yes. But that's usually what we do. We go out to eat, maybe have a drink, a couple sips.
There you go.
Because that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. I know. I can feel that.
Yeah, that's all it takes, especially at that point after not drinking for months,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the building process, again, after leaning out, because I always tell my athletes, this is something I really try to drive home with them, is that at your leanest, you are not going to be your strongest. And at your strongest, you're not going to be your fastest. But what is that process going from your leanest back into bulking up again? Is that fun for you or is it uncomfortable for you? Because it's, again, it goes back to your body being a tool and it changes. And
right. So it gets uncomfortable. Yes. It gets uncomfortable. And I feel like I try to prep my girls more for this part than the initial part, because it's nice when you're watching yourself like shrink down and like, oh, cool. But to have to go about it the other way around, it is a mental battle. And guys go through it too.
They do.
But, obviously we, as females, we're a little bit harder on ourselves when it comes to our self-image.
Right.
And that's why it's very important to have a plan, to have a plan before you go into your off season so that you can slowly start putting on the weight again and once you start feeling the strength, you start feeling better. But your body tends to change faster than the strength tends to come back. And obviously the water comes back, the water weight, the glycemic levels go up, and you're a little inflamed, maybe from the couple cheats that you had after. So you really have to have that plan to like, okay, starting on Monday, after the show, here's my new diet, here's my reverse. Let's slowly start to gain weight. Because without the right guidance, it's easy just to go and either go back to normal eating or binge, and that's not good health-wise, and obviously body image-wise, you're not going to like it.
It's detrimental.
Yes. And I tried to explain to females is that stage look that you're going to have on stage is just not permanent. It's not there to stay. It's not realistic. It's a stage look. It's just for that day.
How long do you put them into that phase? How long is that stage phase?
The reverse?
Well, no, the stage phase for them. How long are they in that process?
Oh, to get on stage. So, I mean, if you really think about it, the whole purpose is that process to get you there. We're trying to find your peak. And so our bodies, we can't lose body fat like that. So we try to do it slowly because that's the healthier way. And so, we take away water, we manipulate salt a little bit so that we really make those muscles pop, and it's just skin and muscle, right? And so then after that, we introduce, more water, more liquids, and just slowly, and then you just slowly start to fill out.
Right.
And for us, you just came back from looking ripped, and you can see every vein in your, stomach. And even from a couple sips of water from Saturday to Sunday, you no longer can see, the striations on your shoulders. But to, any other person on the street, they're going to look at you and be like, wow, you're in really great shape.
Right.
But to us, it's like, what happened? What did I eat too much? Did I drink too much? But it's like, no, this is your normal.
Yeah, this is the
vessel.
process.
Right. So I try to explain that, like, hey, be prepared to see your body change back. Doesn't mean you're on the wrong track. If you're still doing what you're doing and following your reverse for, it takes a week, that peak week, they call it peak week, to reach your peak. And then we reverse out for a couple months. And by month 3, you should already be close to a surplus or already there.
Right.
But I think that initial... the main time frame that I would say that gets you to that perfect stage look is that last week, the last couple of weeks, where you kind of manipulate food a little bit more and really find your peak.
Yeah. Do you enjoy that part of the process, or do you find it tedious?
It's kind of, I hope Ash doesn't hear this. It's kind of tedious.
Okay.
Because you have to check in with your coach almost like twice a day.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. So it's not even like the food or the amount of food, because you might be eating a lot. If you're already ready, you're where you need to be. We're just feeding you into the show, which is what you want.
Okay.
To be ready, and we're just feeding you into the show. If you're already there, and you just want to relax, but to have to eat a meal and then put your suit on, hit your poses, take the video. Oh, the lighting's wrong. Why did this meal make me look like this? And so you really start manipulating little things, and it's just a little tedious to let's do 150 grams of rice instead of the 100 you just packed.
Right.
So now you're like, crap, I got to go find 50 grams of rice somewhere because, you're at work or out somewhere. So it can be a little tedious, but it's almost like you have to take advantage of it because it's the calm before that big day.
Right.
Like show day. We call it game day.
Game day.
Yes.
I like that. In the Super Bowl, and we're going to get the ring today.
Right. I just need the ring. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. I hope you get to come to a show.
I would love to.
There's a few in Texas, so I'm going to do at least one in Texas this year.
We are traveling pretty regularly. all over the place. So I would love to come see you when our schedules connect and we can make that happen.
Where are y'all going?
We go a lot of places.
Oh.
So home is on the West Coast, PNW, and we're here now, and we bounce around from East Coast to West Coast.
Nice.
Everywhere in between. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, my coach is in California, so and I compete. Yeah, pretty East Coast. I want to go more to the East Coast this year and see how it goes there.
Is the competition different between the two coasts, or do you find it's kind of the same?
The judging is different. Yes.
The judges.
Yes, the judges. Which, I love them.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yes, it's a love-hate relationship. They're doing their job.
They are doing their job. Do you find that it's, is it a little more lax or a little more strict?
They are a little bit more strict.
Okay.
But I kind of want to see, because all the big name competitors go there, mainly on the East Coast, and the headquarters for the IFBB is in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So I want to make it up there too.
Okay.
And see how it goes. Visit the headquarters and
that'd
just check it out. The gym. Yeah. I've never been, so that'd be cool to go to. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited.
Well, we are going to do rapid fire, something I like to do. But you can ask me questions.
Okay.
Or we can we can play Ice Cube.
Can we do both?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about what you do and what made you want to start this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what I do, I am a fitness trainer, a coach, and I own Invictus Pro. And I would say that my niche is more of CrossFit and weight training. And I have always dabbled in mixed modalities because I grew up a competitive gymnast. And enjoyed running, and had an older brother who I always looked up towards, and essentially anything he could do, I wanted to do as well. So dabbled in a little bit of all of it. I think the intent of me starting Modern Day Athlete and having the podcast is because I have made it my mission to build a community around athletes, all athletes, where they can feel supported, they can find resources, and essentially be able to share experiences, whether they're good or bad. I feel like everything, it can be a learning opportunity. And so that's the intent of this.
I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really, really cool because, I feel like we all can use a little support, even if we're not on the same, sport. We can always use support because at the end of the day, we're human. We get tired. Our minds get tired. And even just a little encouragement can get us to that next step.
Yeah, I think so too. And I love essentially what's happening right here is that I'm hearing about your story and it's inspiring. And it does make me question, is that something I want to try to do? I don't know that I'd want to get on stage, but going through the process to appreciate the intricacies of it is very intriguing for me. And if that's what we can come together and do for somebody else, inspire them to step outside their comfort zone and try something they would have otherwise not considered, then I find that as a success.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where growth happens, when you step out of that comfort zone and you're like, wow, I can do this.
Well, I think too, I have a conversation pretty regularly, especially in our own home, where I tell them that always and never are definitive terms. And I use them sparingly. I don't like to say that often, but I also don't want to feel the limitations that I'm going to impose in my own mindset by using a word like that. Like, I always do this, or I never do that. I don't feel like I need to put myself into that position. And, you want to make sure that you're always continuing as a student of life, essentially, so that there's always growth and there's not complacency and limitations on what you can accomplish.
Cool. I love that. That's so good.
All right. Well, I am going to let you take a pick.
All right.
Here we go. This is the ice cube. You can either go through and choose one of your liking or just randomly choose one.
Okay, I'm going to do random because then I'll look forever. All right. Let's see. That's a good one. This was fun. Okay, what would you love to find at a yard sale?
Oh, man. At a yard sale. Oh.
That's a hard one.
You know what I'd actually really like to find? I think I know this one. I feel I should give you some preface to this. I feel like I was born in the wrong generation.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So I feel like what I'd want to find at a yard sale would be like a Jimi Hendrix vinyl, like autographed.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a record player at home, and I have a few, and I'd really like to have a Jimi Hendrix one.
That's really cool.
About some of his music, it's just amazing. Those guitar riffs, they're unbeatable.
Yes. You need to go to that antique store in spring then.
Oh, really?
They have a lot of records. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have to go check it out. My autographed record awaits.
I'm like, it's in here somewhere. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that answer.
Really?
Yeah, that's really cool. I learned something.
Yeah.
Okay, do I go again?
No. You want to go? You want to do one?
No, you can. Right. Yeah, I'll do one.
Let's do this one.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Which of your ancestors would you most like to meet?
Oh, man.
Do you know any of your ancestors?
No.
I mean, not personally.
Yeah.
But of them?
No, I don't. I have a very small family. Very small family. And both my grandpas are gone. Okay. And one grandma. So I only have one grandma left. So I'd probably want to meet all of them just to know a little bit more about my family and where we came from. So maybe more on my mom's side.
Okay.
I feel like they have some cool, history there somewhere.
What's the ethnic background for your mom's side?
So she's Mexican.
Okay.
And she's from Hidalgo, Mexico.
Okay.
Yes. So she was up in the mountains. And my dad was in Mexico City. Mm-hmm. So completely different.
Yes.
It's kind of funny because my dad was the city boy and he was like the rebel. And
yes. How did he get your mom? How did he snag your mom? What's the story there?
I want to say, if my memory is right, that my dad used to work at a radio station.
Okay. And
it's so funny because I thought of him when he said record player, because I have pictures of him and I putting records at our little record player at home. And I think she was working in the same office building as a secretary. And they crossed paths. I don't know how.
They both made a trip to the water fountain.
Yeah. But I think my mom had a boyfriend at the time.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. But yeah, I think that's how they met. Yeah.
Well, I love that.
Yes. And it's just funny because they're complete opposites too.
Yeah. Opposites attract.
True.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
Letting me express about my crazy sport.
I love it.
Thank
you.
I
love the intricacies of all the details that you expressed. And like I said, I think that once I get past comp season, I am not one of those ones who's afraid to dabble in different modalities. And I've considered it in the past. I don't know that I do want to get on stage. I might drink the Kool-Aid, who knows?
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like it could be one of those pathways that would be interesting just to learn and go through the process and experience it and have that firsthand, opportunity and knowledge, and then take that on and do other endeavors as well.
Right. Well, you just let me know. You know where to find me.
I know where to find you, but tell everybody else where to find you.
So I'm at Northside Gym, and that's where I do my posing, and I also train clients there as well.
Okay.
And I also do virtual posing, and then my Instagram is Brenda G _ IFBB Pro. And that's
Queen Bee Posing.
Yes, AKA Queen Bee Posing. That's right. And that would be where I have all my posing information.
All right. So I need to send you a DM.
Yes,
slide in your DMs.
Slide in my DMs. I'll respond. Just don't be weird.
Yes. No weirdos need apply.
Yes.
You'll be dealing with Evan.
Oh, correct. But yeah, just a DM and I get back to you ASAP.
Amazing.
Awesome.
All
yes.
right. Well, this is fun.
Yes, this was a lot of fun. My first podcast. And so if you want me back, I'll come back.
I do. Go win Olympia, and then we're going to have a whole lot of conversation about that.
Oh, man. I better start taking notes.
Thank
you for having me.
Absolutely.